When society decays, when moral filth surrounds us, we don't just stand it, we don't just point fingers at those who caused the mess. We pick up the tools and begin the cleanup. Because if we don't, the rot will consume us all. Our society is polluted, our values are contaminated, our systems are not working, and we cannot afford to fold our hands. Integrity Summit is a divine assignment, a platform to address the ills tearing our world apart. Our broken walls must be rebuilt, and there are agents like you choosing for this mission. Now is the time. Put on your headgear, wear your gloves, grab your shovels, take whatever tool you've been given, and let's clean up this society together. Because the plague of corruption, injustice, and moral failure will not stop until we act. Nigeria and nations beyond are ripe for this cleanup. No more complaints, no more empty activism. It is time to advocate, to labor, and to rebuild. Are you ready? Integrity Summit 4.0 is here. With carefully selected facilitators who will explore practical ways to restore the wealth of our nation. The mission starts now. Will you answer the call?
Good evening, Apostle Joel. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Okay.
You're on, sir.
All right. Welcome to Integrity Summit 4.0. Today is day 2, and we're privileged to have our guest here. Quickly read out his profile. But before I do that, I just want to lead us in an open. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of this new day and for bringing us together once again. As we gather on this second day, we ask for your wisdom to guide our minds, your peace to fill our hearts, and your strength to empower our steps. Lord, renew our spirit and open our eyes to the lesson you have for us this day. Help us to build on what we learned yesterday and move forward with clarity, unity, and purpose. May your presence be evident in every discussion, every moment of reflection, and every connection we make. Bless our speaker, bless our listeners, and all who contribute. May their words inspire and challenge us. Help us to listen with open minds, engage with humility, and apply what we learn with courage. We surrender this day to you. May it be fruitful, transformative, and filled with your grace. All this and many more we ask for in Jesus' mighty name. And everybody say amen. Amen. All right, I'll quickly read the bio of our guest speaker tonight. Peter AKAH is a human rights advocate with a passion for building a better nation on the principles of justice, equality, and fairness. A fervent believer in efficiency, transparency, and accountability, in leadership that is dedicated to improving the quality of lives of the people and creating equal opportunities for all citizens to thrive and live up to their God-given potentials. He believes that in achieving this, citizens must understand their roles in nation building and participate actively in it, speaking up for truth and justice in whatever situations they find themselves, and always working to advance the causes they are passionate about that culminates in a truly great nation. We are deeply honored to welcome the distinguished Mr. Peter AKAH to Integrity Summit 4.0. Peter, you are welcome to Integrity Summit. You now have the floor, sir. God bless you.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure being here. Please, I don't know if you can hear me.
Very well.
Okay, so am I just to respond to your, acknowledgement and then you go on?
The topic you were given and speak on it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. My name is Peter AKAH, and I want to, first of all, as I have even said or earlier said, say a big thank you to the organizers of the Integrity Summit. I want to especially acknowledge Apostle for your incredible work and effort in building our society and entrenching a society where there are values and where systems work. It is not every person who is a part of a system who works assiduously to ensure that it works. Because even the so-called systems we say they are bad or they are not working, in some cases are also a blessing to some persons because people also, benefit from dysfunctional systems. So when you see people who put their self in the line, trying to build and create an awareness to build a system that benefits everybody and not just a handful of persons, it is commendable. And it is my prayer that our efforts, every one person who is working to see a better Nigeria and a better nation, that our efforts will not be in vain and we all will be alive to experience a better Nigeria that we truly deserve. So I thank you all and I welcome everyone who is on this, call at this point, and anyone who would be listening after hearing after. I just bid you a warm welcome and I hope that you're doing well. My name is Peter for Nigeria, and I have been asked to quickly talk on a topic that is quite interesting. It says the theme for the summit, of course, is rebuilding the broken walls of Nigeria. The walls are, of course, truly cracking. Some persons will tell you that Nigeria is almost a failed state. Some persons say we are a failing state. Some say it is a matter of time before we get into an absolute failed nation. We are the precipice or the brinks. But I have been asked to talk directly on the topic, combating corruption in Nigeria, strategies for institutional reforms. And for me, I will, because I think I've been given about 30 minutes or so, 35 minutes, and I just want to make it a very, plain and straightforward conversation. The problems of Nigeria do not change. The issues that we are discussing today have been discussed before. They will be discussed some other time, just in different forums. The question for me most times when we discuss as Nigerians is, are we willing to address the problem, to solving the problem, or we desire to talk about them? Because I have observed that as a people, most times Nigerians prefer to address the symptom of a problem rather than tackling it from the root cause, which is the only way you can address it holistically. So if we want to talk about corruption in Nigeria, even the child who is born yesterday or last year almost knows what corruption is. What is corruption? Corruption is basically abuse of entrusted power, taking actions that are unethical and undermining the rule of law for personal gain. And sometimes corrupt practices may even be legal, but are they moral? That is the question. For example, when you see in the situation like Nigeria, where a former governor of a state or a person who is governor of a state for 4 years finishes as governor, and you twist the State House of Assembly to pass a pension scheme for you that does not just give you pension that is equivalent to the salary of the sitting governor. It includes you collecting houses in choice areas in Abuja and maybe Lagos or Akwa Ibom or Rivers, wherever you are a governor. It includes security SUVs to be given to yourself, the first lady. You are given police escort. You are paid by your orderlies, your cooks, your chef, and whatever. and also oversees medical treatment for an unspecified number of family members. This pension is accrued to anybody who has spent, even if it is a month as a governor, you are entitled to this. It ranges into hundreds of millions for a person. And then you now put it side by side with the gratuity or pensions of a civil servant who has probably served his state for 30 or 35 years and retired. Recently, you saw police officers protesting in Abuja, here in Nigeria, talking about how their gratuity, some of them who are low-ranking officers, are not even up to 5 million naira. That is after serving your country as a law enforcement officer for 35 years. What you will be given as a gratuity for that service is less than 5 million naira. Meanwhile, that is what can be budgeted for the newspaper or, telecommunication allowance of one politician or one senator. And some persons will tell you it is legally provided for. But the question is it moral? And if we continue in this kind of trajectory of inequality, the lack of fairness and, taking into consideration the plight of other people, how do we intend to achieve an egalitarian society? How do we intend to build a society where there is peace? Because peace can only be achieved where there is justice. Any peace in the presence of injustice will be peace of the graveyard. So when it comes to corruption in Nigeria, what are some of the expressions of corruption in Nigeria or the manifestation? Manifests in different ways in bribery and corruption, embezzlement and misappropriation of funds, nepotism and favoritism, money laundering, election rigging, and many, many, many other things. If you look at Nigeria today, if you bring somebody to talk about, say maybe for this Integrity Summit now, you say you want to talk about what is going on in every sector. If you bring somebody from the health sector, the end of that conversation will be that the health sector is not working well. Because even recently, you saw nurses protesting, doctors will protest, medical lab scientists will protest. If you bring people from education, the end of that conversation will be education is not working. Teachers in Abuja were on strike recently. Meanwhile, the president was in a foreign country granting scholarship to foreigners. And the minister of the FCT has rebuilt an ICC for 39 billion, a project that was built for 28 billion, and it is renamed after who renovated and not who built. If you call somebody from the agri sector, they will tell you it is not working because of insecurity. Farmers cannot go to farm. If you call somebody from sports, they will tell you it is not working. So every sector in Nigeria is not working. The only sectors in Nigeria that are doing well is corruption, crime, and criminality. And that is why it is important that as a people, we must talk about corruption. Why is the Nigerian situation so endemic? Is it that Nigeria is the only country or nation where there is corruption? The answer is no. The truth is there is corruption everywhere in the world. Even in Rome or Vatican, where the Pope is the head of the Vatican, there is corruption. If you travel to Mecca, the holy land of Islam, where people go to pray and even stone the devil on the Mount of Arafat, there is corruption. So what is it that makes it possible for, in the midst of corruption, nations can still build a system that brings equality and a situation where there is shared prosperity to all people? If you look at the world today, the countries that always tell you that they are helping you to fight corruption, in fact, during the former president, the late Buhari administration, one of the UK prime minister was quoted to have made a statement. He said that in Nigeria or in Africa, we are fantastically corrupt. And then you ask the question, all the proceeds of corruption in Nigeria, where are they stored? Up till today, more than 20 years after the death of the former military dictator, General Sani Abacha, the foreign governments continue to repatriate Nigeria's resources and looted funds. Why were the cash not returned immediately at the point of inception or the point of taking it to those countries? Why wait with them, do business with them, make profit, and after that it is sent back? So if you look at it, even the Western world that tell you that, oh, we are fighting corruption, we are doing anti-graft, whether the United States, whether the West in Europe and all of that, there are also issues of corruption. but it is strong and efficient leadership that plugs the loopholes to corruption such that it reduces or minimizes its impact in nation building and on the lives of the citizens. What are some of the impacts of this corruption? Social inequality, increased poverty. It undermines democracy. There is economic stagnation and instability, failure of governance, erosion of public trust. In Nigeria today, if you look at a good case study of Nigeria, there was a time when Nigeria was one of the fastest growing, in fact, the fastest growing economy in Africa. Our GDP was projected to be as high as it can compete favorably with the Western world or some countries in the West. Suddenly, we have had a government where today Nigeria is the world's headquarters for extreme and multi-dimensional poverty. That is, Nigeria has more people living in poverty and penury than the country of India. India, for you to get an understanding, India has a population of more than 1 billion human beings. That is more than 4 times or 3 times the population of Nigeria, our estimated population. Yet, Nigeria has more people living in extreme and multi-dimensional poverty, more than a country that has 4 times your population. And do not forget that just a little above or 10 years or 12 years ago, India was the poverty capital of the world. Even China, that is the world power today, had extreme and multi-dimensional poverty. The question is, what did they do? How did they get it right? How did they tackle their own corruption? Is it that Nigeria has continued to reward a system of corruption? It has broken our societal fabrics, the family system, our value system that rewarded hard work, that rewarded diligence, that rewarded due process and labor have been set aside. Today for Nigeria, it is not whether you have money or whatever that is the case, or whether you are a thief. The important thing is make money. It does not matter how you make it. Even religious institutions will celebrate persons who just have that wealth without trying to investigate or know the source of the wealth. If you go to a church or a mosque today, they will tell you, say, oh, we get our church project. We are looking for money to build 100,000 capacity auditorium. We want to build this mosque. We want to build. A politician will come and say, oh, I'm donating 200 million. Nobody will ask where is the money coming from. Everybody go clap. We thank you, honorable. We thank you, senator. And then it is a testimony our project is completed. The question is, where did the money come from? It is proceeds of corruption. That hospital you are talking about, that there is no oxygen, there are no medical staff, there is no light in the theater. Your neighbor died because there was no ambulance. Your family member died because there was no doctor to attend to. That is the money that is being used to build that project in your church, in your mosque, or wherever it is. So if Nigerians understand that corruption does not exist in a vacuum, human beings are the collateral for corruption. You and I are the ones who pay for corruption. As long as we continue to enable a system of corruption and criminality, it is human life that make up for it. It is the former DG of NAFDAC, the late Dora Akunyili, who said that corruption in the medical sector is murder. Because if you look at it, imagine a situation where in Nigeria today, have you tasted or taken a drug from somewhere like South Africa, a country just in Africa here, for headache, and then you compare it with the Panadol or paracetamol where we take for Nigeria? Do you know that sometimes at a point, if you are unfortunate to go and buy a fake card of paracetamol, you will just be increasing the dosage. You think, say, maybe you are trying to suppress it, not knowing that you are taking a contaminated drug. And those drugs are all over our markets. Have you tasted a drink, this Coca-Cola or some of these carbonated drinks? Have you tasted Coke in Nigeria and Coke that come from Ghana, or Coke from even Cotonou here in Benin Republic? What is the difference? What is the difference in quality? And in Nigeria, we attribute everything to spiritual battles or spiritual warfare. Nobody takes statistics of the high level of renal issues, sicknesses we are having. Every day, people are having kidney issues, liver failures, internal issues of the digestive system. Nobody is drawing a line between our quality of life and the quality of the goods and commodities we have in our marketplace. But guess what? Nigeria has all institutions that are supposed to check it. The Standard Organization of Nigeria, the Consumer Protection Agency, the NAFDAC is there, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Labor and Productivity. All of these institutions are there, including customs that is supposed to check what comes through the border. But somehow we still have these issues. Why? Corruption in every institution. And that is what has translated into the kind of dilemma Nigeria is. From top to bottom, corruption, Nigeria as it is today, is almost an organized criminal enterprise. Every room you enter in government is an active crime scene. Whether it is in the federal ministry, the state ministry, the judiciary. Imagine a situation where even the judiciary, the court that is supposed to be the last hope of the common man, becomes the last hope of the uncommon man, where a clerk will tell you that for you to move your file from one level to another, there must be money. Imagine the number of people who are languishing in prison because for offenses they know nothing about because of judicial and administrative corruption. That is where Nigeria finds itself today. In fact, do you know that there is a report that about 2023 was when this report was released, that from 1960 till date, Nigeria has lost more than 400 billion to corruption dollars. If you talk about corruption in the oil sector, more than 90% of our economy depends on oil. They will tell you about oil bunkering. No normal or ordinary Nigerian can engage in oil bunkering. Anybody who is stealing oil in Nigeria has access to power because you need a vessel, you need, a security, you need a lot of things. I will even give you a short story of someone I was speaking to someone, a law enforcement officer. He was on something they call Crime Watch, and this is his own account. He was posted because he said he's a man of integrity. He wants to fight corruption. So they posted him to the riverine area, somewhere around Rivers, Bayelsa, to go and fight oil bunkering. So on his arrival, according to him, when he resumed work, he mobilized his boys. He read the riot act for them. He said, look, we are going to fight corruption. This one where I come, so we want to remove corruption from our system, from this oil bunkering. The boys say, Naso Oga, we thank you. Then the oil bunkers came, and they came brazenly with their arms, with their guns and everything. And then they came with cash, according to the story. Cash loaded in stacks. So they came directly to him because they felt like he is one of the officers who knows what's up. We know what is supposed to go on in this sector. So they say, Oga, this is the side we want to do bunkering today. So your boys, you and your boys, wanna go, they guide this side. So you'll be looking this way while we are doing this way. The day when we go come this side, you will now look this other side. So he said never, that he was brought here to sanitize the place. So he cannot allow this corruption to continue. So you know what happened? A call came in from Abuja that the IG wanted to see that officer who is in charge of that unit. So he left and went to Abuja. He spent day one, he spent day two, he could not see the IG. By day three, one of the orderlies also told him, you can return back to your station. By the time he went back, mind you, the people who wanted to do what they needed to do have done it. Another incident happened, and the same thing happened, and they called again. He went to Abuja until another officer at the headquarters told him, he said, Oga, this call where they call you every time they come to see Oga, so nobody is telling you straight. Now lesson 9 that they tell you. The next time they will call you here again, you will not go back to that place. So as it is, what it meant was that whatever you see in that place, cooperate with it and do what you need to do, because the powers here are not backing up whatever integrity you are saying you are going to pursue in that place. That is where Nigeria is as a country. Organized crime and criminality. Anywhere you see sophisticated corruption in Nigeria, there is the active hand of persons around the corridors of power. Remember a story in 2018 when police went to go and arrest a kidnapper in somewhere in Taraba, and officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces accosted that van, opened fire, killing 3 police officers and a civilian, and somehow the kidnapper was able to escape. That is Nigerian men of Nigerian Armed Forces attacked a convoy carrying a kidnapper, killed other law enforcement officers, and somehow kidnapper escaped. What has been the outcome of all of this corruption where we are today? The poverty capital of the world, insecurity. Nigeria today has active military service across the 36 states and the FCT. When we are not fighting any external aggressor, Nigeria is not fighting war with any external force or country, but we have military action in the 36 states. In Abuja alone, we have more than 100,000 internally displaced persons in the country's capital. A dysfunction of our health infrastructure, a dysfunction of our educational system, youth unemployment, more than 15 million out of school children, an entire generation of human beings are not being gainfully engaged. And then you want to handle economy or poverty. The insecurity you see today is a form of protest. When you see people carry guns, it is also a fallout of the injustice. So all of these have compounded the Nigerian problem, and everybody does not know exactly where to move from here. How do we handle this corruption that has become a normal thing? For Nigeria today, just know somebody somewhere. Know people for police, get people for road safety, even for filling stations, sabi people. When they go supermarket, no person, know somebody in the ministry, know somebody, because anything you want to do, whether you are right, whether you get your complete papers, you still need to know somebody. So now, combating corruption, to go into the response to it, how do we then combat this corruption? Is it impossible to fight corruption? No, it is not. If you look at the itemization now, some people they came up with, according to the Global Corruption Index, they came up with a 4-stage approach to combating corruption. Number 1, they talk about the value-based approach. Number 2, the compliance approach. Number 2, the risk management approach. And number 3, we talk about the active awareness and citizens' participation. What is this value-based approach? This one say, let us build a system that rewards good behavior, where it is not, let us build an ethical system where there are values, where people are, incentivized to do the right thing, not just because they fear for the punishment of corruption. Some people say this one is new. This one may be good, where people just have the orientation that doing the right thing is good. In Ghana, I think it is the Ashanti people, they have a saying. They say, instead of you to take money that does not belong to you, let the money be ashamed. The Ghanaians, they have a saying. They say, instead of you to take money that does not belong to you, let the money be ashamed. That is, it goes beyond criminality. It is immoral. So they must handle the societal value system of it. That is what the value-based approach is talking about. The compliance-based approach is this, that there must be laws and rules. Corruption undermines laws and rules-based systems. We must build a system where there are consequences for bad behavior and there is reward for good behavior. Because anything that you nurture will develop. Nigeria has nurtured and pampered corruption so much that it has developed into a full-fledged human being and is dwelling amongst us. So in a country where corruption has become a normal thing, where they try to do the right thing, you become the problem. That is why in Nigeria today, if you are working in an organization and you try to stand by integrity or good morals, you are likely to have problems, especially in public office. Because it is not about you, it is the system. The system does not support integrity. It will weed you out. Somebody who is able to conform to that system, to cut corners, to change paperwork. You go here, some people will tell you that the politicians are the worst, say the commissioners and ministers. Do you know that the people who can teach you how to steal money in government offices are the civil servants who are there? The so-called permanent secretaries. Now they know all the nooks and crannies of how it works. So you who is even coming as the politician, you will even be taught how to go about it. No, Oga, if you are signing for this one, this is how we do it. Oh, this is how we do this side. So that if you know, say all these things where you do so, make person no retire and you go sit down for hunger. That is why you will see somebody at the level of PAMSECOM director is buying a house of hundreds of millions in Maitama and Asokoro and Ikoyi from which salary? Proceeds of criminality. So the compliance-based system is talking about building rules and laws. Then the risk management system is talking about preventing corruption, identifying a possible means to corruption, and then making sure that you protect it before it happens. It is such like forestalling it before the thing take place. And it is very interesting because it aligns to my own approach, you know, in doing certain things and in handling issues of Nigeria. It talks about prevention, about audits, and then there is something called the 4I approach, the 4I principle. What it means is that two people are most likely not to act in corruption together than one person. What is he simply talking about? There has to be checks and balances, which is why we have democracy in the first place. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Any power that people are not held accountable to is likely to corrupt them. When you put a person in a place, see, there is no human being that is born with the innate capacity to do good. Everybody and everything that we learn, we get from this world. If you go to America, they say some people will tell you, those who have traveled there, I have not traveled, but from what we see and watch, you cannot beat traffic. Why? Because now police does not even need to chase you. The cameras will just capture you before you know a paper is served to you by even email, and then either your license is withdrawn, you are fined and you pay. But have you noticed that in Nigeria, expatriates can beat traffic? I have seen foreigners who drink and drive, who smoke and drive. They will not do it in their countries because the system does not permit it, because there are consequences for that. But you will do it here because the system permits it. In fact, the system of Nigeria will even protect a foreigner more than it will protect a Nigerian, because they are looking for ways to remain in the good books of those countries. That is how our system works. So it says that there must be checks and balances. There must be a system where there is asset disclosure. In Nigeria today, public office holders, the only enterprise they have is politics. Nigerians politicians will continue to steal and embezzle money because the wealthiest sector in Nigeria is not business, it's politics. It is the easiest way to make money. So just be able to get money, get godfathers, get whatever criminal means you can make money to enter. Once you enter, do you know that now if you go to National Assembly, like for the first 2 years, some people who collected money for some people to sponsor their election, they go use the first 2 years to be repaying the loan. They will pay, save money, pay and all of that. Then the other one, they are preparing and amassing money for the coming election. So in Nigeria, there is no governance. It is politics from beginning to the end of the 4 years. That is why today you have government in Nigeria that came in 2023. And almost that same year, 2023, we are talking about 2027. We have not talked about the mandates that you receive and the life of the people. Why? Because absolute power will corrupt. Absolutely. There are no checks and balances. And do not forget that the beneficiaries of this corruption and this corrupt system are not interested in fixing it, because fixing that system puts them out of business. So it is you and I who are citizens who are going to ensure that the systems and institutions are built. It then talks also, that risk management also talks about a merit-based recruitment process, which is what I will want to drive home as a people. All of this English where I don't speak about corruption, everything where I don't talk, Nigeria is corrupt, there is crime, there is everything. What is the simple cause? A lack of consequences and accountability. The mere fact that anybody can do anything in Nigeria and can go away with it if you have the right connections is the reason why we can never get it right. And that is why this issue of merit-based recruitment, when you talk about merit-based recruitment, some people will think that you are just talking about employment. Let us avoid nepotism. The most important recruitment process in Nigeria is the process through which you recruit your leaders. Nigerians do not understand that elections are a recruitment exercise. If you have a flawed and a criminal recruitment exercise for leaders of the country, you cannot have an uncriminal or an accountable or equitable leadership. INEC in Nigeria today is the human resource department of the country. If you criminalize your electoral process, because democracy is built on the principles of free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections. Because you know why? The founders of democracy did this because they know that a situation like this will arise. And this brings me to the statement I began with when I said, are we interested in tackling the root cause or the symptom? If you complain about corruption from now till tomorrow, insecurity, hunger, inflation, all the impacts of corruption, the people who put you in this situation and who are making this corruption to continue are preparing to come back in 2027 and 2031. If you fail to get a system to hold them accountable by the ballot box, you are only postponing your evil day. So you will now hold Integrity Summit 5.0, 6.0, 10.0, 20.0, and it is still the same story. Why? Because you have failed to hold the issue at the root cause. So it is not just a talking issue, it is an action issue, where you must know that the process through which you send people into public office, who will make laws, who will make policies, must be sanitized. So that if they go there and they fail to deliver or to perform, you have the opportunity to send them out and bring in people of competence. Because the Nigerian recruitment process today makes it impossible for people with character to get in. The electoral process has become so criminalized that only the very violent can go through. If not, ask yourself the question. According to INEC in 2023, more than 90 million people registered to vote. 89 million collected their PVCs, but less than 27 million came out to vote on election day. What happened to the other 50 million people? Why are Nigerians not interested in the process that gives them leaders? Because they do not have trust and confidence in the process. And that is the intention. Let there be so much corruption that everybody becomes so frustrated and disappointed and disenfranchised so that you refuse to pay attention. Now, the unfortunate thing is whether you pay attention or not, you will still or can still become a victim of what is going on. So you will hear some people say, I am not into politics. But sweetheart, politics is into you. Everybody is into politics. The difference is that it is either you are actively involved or you outsource the decision making to charlatans. But guess what? Whatever becomes the outcome of their decisions, you will live with them. So whether you are a pastor, you are an imam, you speak in tongues, you go to church, the most important aspect of society is governance. Nigeria has become so religious that people spend time in religious houses praying for the same things that God has empowered them to do. 70 to 80% of what Nigerians spend time praying about are issues that will be fixed by good governance. And it is actually irresponsibility to abdicate your job to God to do what he created you to do. The most important creation of God Almighty was the human being. He gave us dominion over the earth. After creating all animals, he instructed Adam. He said, "It is what you call it that I will name it. Whatever that you say it is, that is what it is. Even though I am the one who created." That is why the Bible says that he reigns in heaven and has given the earth, he has given to the sons of men. And then the Bible says in the book of Psalms, he said that ye are gods, ye sons of the most high God, that as kings you have been ordained as priests and kings unto God. So God expects you to be able to use your God-given wisdom to build a system that works efficiently to take care of the poor and the less privileged amongst you. But Nigerians and Africans will rather leave that part of action to God and then continue to pray for God to come from heaven and do this very same thing he created them to do. And then you now ask yourself the question, which prayer is building Russia? Which prayer is building Dubai, where even our pastors go for seminar in Islamic nations? Our imams go there. Which prayer is building the Iron Dome system in Israel? It is a complete citizen failure, a lazy mindset where people believe that we can pray our way out of our situation instead of walking and acting our way into our solution. So this is the conclusion of it all. Nigerians must wake up, because the last part or the last approach, I have talked about the value-based approach, the compliance-based approach, the risk management, and then this awareness and participation-based approach. Ladies and gentlemen, corruption will continue for as long as we permit it. Corruption in Nigeria is endemic. It has become built into our DNA by series of governance system and institutional failure. This has resulted in the poor quality of lives that Nigeria has today. Today in Nigeria, if you want to die, go to the hospital. If you want to be robbed, go to the police station. If you want to be a sinner, go to church. That is how bad the system have been. And if you want to announce fake election results for an illiterate, become a university professor. There is nothing that can substitute active citizens' participation. How will it begin? To build our institutions, because in the risk management approach, they will tell you we must build our anti-graft agencies, EFCC, ICPC. Have you seen in the last 2 years in Nigeria? Let me just give you this picture as I round up. Do you know that the two immediate past heads of EFCC in Nigeria were taken out of office based on corruption allegations? The former EFCC chairman, Ibrahim Magu, he was not confirmed by the Saraki Senate. He was acting chairman for 5 years. Finally, when he was taken out of office, there were allegations that even the resources that were being recovered by EFCC became subject of secondary looting. He was taken out of office by the Buhari government. They set up a panel led by the retired chief president of the appellate court, Justice Ayo Salami. Till today, has any of you heard of anything that happened? The person who followed him, Abdurrashid Bawa, was taken from Port Harcourt and made EFCC chairman. When President Tinubu came in, that EFCC chairman was detained in DSS detention for more than 1 month, more than 30 days. He was released and everywhere was quiet. Nobody talked about what exactly happened. Today, as you and I are talking, the central bank governor who served under Buhari has been in detention since the end of that administration. So, if you want to say we want to use the institutions to fight corruption, imagine having the heads of anti-corruption agencies taken out of office based on corruption allegations. What is the recruitment process of EFCC in Nigeria? Is it through nepotism? Is it through recommendation? So is it that the political class are the ones who still control those agencies? So you will now agree with me that the persons who are in political office and who have power do not have the appetite to strengthen those institutions, because the weaker the institutions are, the better for them. That is why citizens must first of all begin the fight for corruption and begin accountability by fixing your recruitment process. If we fail to fix elections in Nigeria, if we fail to get a system where you can elect competent leaders and hold them accountable if they fail to fight corruption, you are only postponing the evil day. You will come back and we will continue. So, my dear people, I want you to go part with these words. Corruption does not exist in a vacuum. You and I are the collateral for corruption. Corruption is an affront on human lives. People die as a result of corruption, and Nigerians are paying dearly for the corruption. Our societal fabric is fractured. We must fix it. But this corruption will continue for as long as we permit it. If we want to end corruption, we must unite, move from talking to taking action. Let us fix our electoral process and system. Recruit leaders who have the competence and character to begin a national orientation and strengthen institutions to be able to dispense justice and hold people accountable, where there are consequences for bad behavior and there is reward for good behavior. Other than that, we will continue in these circles and there will just be this vicious circle with no end in sight. I thank you for your time. I'm very grateful, and God bless Nigeria.
Wow, 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 wow. Peter, this is so, so powerful. The sound bites that you release are powerful. Wow, wow. All right, when you were speaking, you said something about the 4I approach, or
Yes.
you didn't mention them. Can you just mention them?
Yes, the 4 eyes, it's not actually eyes, it is like 4 eyes, having 4 eyes on something. That was when I explained about it is more likely for somebody, for two people not to be corrupt or think the same way than having just one person look at something. So it basically talks about having a system where there are checks and balances, where one person does not just have the, superiority. Like, for example, the National Assembly now, they can decide to do their budget. You don't know what is there. You don't know how it is padded. There must be the police of the police. Everybody must be subject to another person. You cannot, eat your own cake and have it. So while you have the capacity to do this, there should be another eye watching you over what you are doing, so that one person is not left to just be uhuru in that sector. That is what the 4 eyes approach talks about.
Another question I quickly want to ask is, do you think Nigeria can be salvaged?
Absolutely, yes. A lot of people ask this question. Apostle, there is no nation in the world that is great today that did not go through even more difficult times than Nigeria. Great nations are nations that were built by resilient people who, in spite of all the odds, decided that they will make a difference. Nation building is not a sprint, it's a marathon. What Nigerians must know is that we must not become frustrated and disappointed because we have tried and there have been no results. In life, we must keep having hope. There is no guarantee that if I enter a car today from Lagos to Abuja, that I will get there. People have accidents and die. But I will still travel anyway. Why? Because I believe that on my own, it will be different. It is that hope we must continue to have and continue to try. Nigeria can work if all of us decide to come together and make it work.
Wow. Thank you so much, Peter. We just want to put to you, okay? And they are just arrowhead. Quickly, just give answers to. I think you've said it in your message, but I just wanted you to attack these questions.
Okay.
One says, an economic factor sustain corruption in Nigeria. I heard you mention the church, the mosque, and all of
Yes.
that. The corruption where,
Yes.
is everywhere. You go to the church, you go to somewhere else, you are just seeing those things. You understand the question? Just ask. You just give an arrowhead answer.
Because
Okay,
I didn't even mention the traditional institutions. traditional institutions that are supposed to be the custodian of our traditions. We grew up, our parents grew up in societies where there was contentment, where people looked up to certain figures in this nation. Like the Yorubas, they have a culture of hard work, where as a young person growing, you see one man who has worked all his life driving a Benz, and they tell you that one day, if you work hard enough, you self, you go fit buy that motor. But today, we have become a system where even the youngest child wants to drive a car that a 60-year-old who has worked for 30 years cannot afford, because there is desperation. That's why you hear situations where they say even mama go carry pikin to go do rituals. So the persons who are supposed to be custodian of the traditions and cultures have also become active participants in this corruption. There is an insatiable desire to amass wealth and to appropriate the kind of resources to yourself that you don't need. People will get billions, get houses that they will even forget the locations. So a part of our culture has become so tainted, and we have become a people that are more vain in our pursuit rather than in building values and ethics and morals that guide humanity. We must look for a way to reroute ourselves into that space where there was dignity, there are morals, and there are ethics and values for every human being.
Wow, thank you, Peter. Now, the question I want to ask you, I think it has to do with you too, and you guys.
Yeah.
That question says, the question, what are the risks faced by anti-corruption activists like you? How can you guys be protected? Because I was speaking with your colleague, Precious, and I come from Benin, you are in Benin, and these things you are doing is tough there.
Yes.
For you.
You know how it is.
But because of my spiritual understanding, I say, well, when God calls you to do a thing, he also gives you the protection. So if you understand the question, what risk faced by anti-corruption activists and agents, and how can they be protected?
What in fact, that last part of your statement, when you say that when God calls you, he's able to protect you, has been one of my own driving your motivating factors. The risk that people who stand for anti-corruption face is the risk that everybody will face when you stand for truth in a system that promotes lies and injustice. Whenever you want to go against a system that Nigeria is like a sophisticated criminal enterprise. It's been there for more than 60 years and counting. So imagine trying to pull the carpet off the feet of people who have grounded themselves. When you talk about, you hear me shouting every day about INEC corruption. Every day I receive private calls, people who will send you threats, who will tell you this. And I tell them one thing. Unless what I am doing is something that is motivated by a malicious intent to benefit myself, if what I'm doing is because it is a God-given mandate to speak up for truth and what I believe in justice and equity and fairness, the God who called us is able to protect. I don't have the resources. I cannot be more, protected than the states. They have all the apparatus to see me. Then they can monitor me at any time. But the truth of the matter is, do you know that Nigeria has become so bad that even the people in the certain institutions where they may be planning to do certain things to harm you, some persons God will just put there to become sympathetic with you because they too are tired of that system. So in the places where people will say, oh, this person is doing this person is doing that, some people will now come and say no, but they are actually saying the truth. Why should we not rather fix this thing instead of harming them? You cannot kill everybody. And my greatest fear is not death. It is living a life of cowardice, a life that I could not get what I wanted because I was too afraid to demand. It is not in the length of time, it is in the quality. We will live to a good old age and we will fulfill the mandate of a better Nigeria. That I know will come to pass. So no matter what you are doing, know that truth is worth it. Truth is enough to protect you. Stay by the truth and add nothing to the truth. The truth is enough. And no matter the issues that may come, no matter the challenges, you will go through it and you will come out victorious because your motives are pure and your intentions are true.
All right. Personnel wants to highlight some questions. If you can see them.
Okay, I'm looking at my screen.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No, not yet.
Okay. So my question is, why has institutional corruption remained so deeply rooted in Nigeria, despite several corruption efforts?
The simple question or simple answer is you cannot get justice in a country where criminals make the laws. You cannot have anti-corruption when the people who are making laws to fight corruption are the corruption itself. When you look at the recent statement by former President Obasanjo by the National Assembly, he called it a den of unarmed robbers. There are lawmakers there, former governors who were convicted of money laundering, sentenced to prison, and they retained their positions in the Senate and went to the Supreme Court because Nigeria has a criminal justice system that is left to the highest bidder, and it returned them back to the National Assembly. So imagine a former governor who was involved in misappropriation and embezzlement moving to the Senate to go and make laws to protect you to fight corruption. How does it work? Every corruption that happens in any ministry or agency in Nigeria happens with active participation of the National Assembly committees that are supposed to oversee those agencies. There is a committee on INEC, there's a committee on EFCC, committee on health, committee. So if the people who are supposed to oversee you are active participants in that corruption, there is no way. They will rather continue to destroy your ability to hold them accountable until you become tired. That is why you must go back to that statement. You must first get a means of holding those politicians accountable first through election, then begin your institutional reform. Fix your law enforcement, fix your judiciary to be able to dispense justice. That is how you will build your institutions and not hand it over to strong men who are charlatans, by the way.
Okay, there's another question they are going to highlight. Voices who try to talk and take action against corruption, how do we have the power to recruit the right people? I think that's part of the fight you're fighting with INEC reforms and all that.
Yeah. You know, the problem with Nigeria is when you leave a fight that should benefit everybody to the hands of one person. So they become soft targets and it is easy for them to be picked on. What Nigerians do not know is that we are a country of more than 200 million activists who have refused to activate. The question is, what are you waiting for to activate you? Do you want Nigeria to happen to you? Maybe a kidnapper carry your family member. Maybe a person you know dies in UPTH or dies in loot of a health or medical negligence. Then you become an activist. The fight for corruption is a national battle. Nobody should be on the sideline. Imagine if 100,000 Nigerians come out every day, like what we are doing on Integrity Summit. You are talking on social media. You may not be able to speak like some persons, but you can tweet, you can post. It makes it a national conversation. But when some people like Fela say, my people fear for everything. We know one die, we know one quench. I get papa for house. I want enjoy. The more we fear and leave it to the hands of a few, they become soft targets. Let everybody know that you are a voice. In whatever way or form you can, lend your voice and support. And the power of the people will always be greater than the people in power.
Wow. Thank you so much. Questions.
Okay.
Also, how can we ensure anti-corruption efforts are not political tools? Yeah. How can we ensure
I think I had even anti-corruption agencies.
You've answered that.
I have answered that. There will remain political tools for as long as the crop of politicians who are there are there. These ones want it to be a tool for them.
Yeah.
I mean, go and check the number of people in the National Assembly. Check how many of them had active cases with EFCC. Check the people who are in the presidential ministerial cabinet who are former governors. What is their records with EFCC and others? A former national chairman of the ruling party made a bold statement in Nigeria. He said, when you come to our party, your sins are forgiven.
Or forgiven.
I mean, so what does it tell you? So there will remain tools in the hands of politicians for as long as we permit it. We must overhaul the system. Nigerians must do a hard reset on leadership in Nigeria.
Wow. Okay, I think question then you just give us a closing remark. But there's something I'll ask this question then before you give a closing remark. Say, what lessons can Nigeria learn from countries that successfully reduce corruption, e.g., Singapore and Rwanda?
Yeah.
Then before you answer this question, okay, let me allow you to answer this question.
The lessons we will learn is the lessons of accountability and consequences. In fact, one of the countries you should look at more is China. Do you know that in China, the consequence for embezzling or taking public funds is, in some cases, is death straight away?
Sure.
They are so strict with it. You touching public funds. In Nigeria, if you steal enough money, the reward for you is make sure you contest for election. In fact, if Lawrence Anini was alive, I think he was unfortunate. If Anini or Yenusi was alive today, he should be running for Senate or he should be running for governor, because that is the reward if you steal enough. So if you want to look at countries that were able to fight corruption, do you see how people in the Middle East, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, it's not that there are no corruption there, but the institutions, their drug offenses penalties are very strict and they abide by those laws no matter whom you are. You cannot have a system where laws are meant for the poor and the rich who make the laws cannot abide by them. It won't work. We must build accountability and enforcement of our laws.
So when you started speaking today, I started imagining corruption as a very big monster, and I won't tell. Been on this fight in our little way to see how we can just speak to how Nigeria works. I tell you, God truly will help us. You finally give your. There's a question in my heart. How do we build a team?
Yeah.
Right? How do we build a team? Yeah, some of you, just few of you, how do we build this team? As I yesterday, I was telling Pressure, I said, activism is not enough. When you do this activism, after a time, there will be some fallout of, leadership positions that some of us will need to get and begin to affect, bring light to those dark areas. But I want to ask, because Integrity Summit this is the fourth.
Yeah.
The other ones we had, so when you call people to speak, they just take you off, they don't head on. So I felt this shouldn't just be us speaking. We should create, we should have action. You said it when you were speaking. We should have action groups, people who will come up to say, hey, we want to be part of this drive, we want to be part of this move. How do we form or that would drive, this things that we're talking about? Or else we'll still guys do. One of the strategies is that, see what these guys do. Youths like us, they give them handouts. Those ones, instead of them to speak out, they'll start defending what you know is even wrong. They'll start look at it now. This one is doing well. You'll be shocked to see your man as in, I thought you are. He said, no, just give me some time. This one was there because handouts.
Yes.
So what do we do in this case?
I thank you so much.
How do we get it?
I deeply appreciate you for this, especially this part of the question. I have said it even in my conversation with Precious and everybody, Auntie Aisha. I don't even like to call myself an activist because of the way that word has been bastardized in Nigeria and all of that. I don't like to use that. I don't call myself an activist. I say I'm an active citizen. I am
Okay.
an advocate for a better Nigeria. I call myself a human rights and youth advocate because activist, becomes very cliche at some point.
Yeah, advocate is better.
Yes.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, I am not interested in activism or advocacy that is the regular kind of talking, and I have had to be doing a lot of talking because I know that we must build sensitization. We must build an awakening, which is what all of this our talk is doing. The question, as you have rightly asked, is how to move it into action and implementation. You see this issue, for example,
Yeah.
like electoral reform I'm talking about. Let me be honest with you, there is no political will to do it because the political class know that conducting free and fair elections is like asking for the resignation letter of almost a percentage of the political class who are there. What will happen in Nigeria that will change Nigeria will be an electoral revolution. I do not want Nigerians to have an idea that a lot of people talk about revolution, but they do not have an idea of exactly what a revolution should be. You cannot be violent forever. Say you just come, they say, may we fight, scatter everything. If you fight and scatter everything, you must come back to dialogue and pick a leader. You will now come back to this election we are talking about. Because today, if there's a revolution, and for example, Tinubu resigns or leaves office, he will be succeeded by Shetima. If Shetima is not there, it will be Akpabio, who is the third in line of succession. Or do you want a military that has become more politicized and corrupt as the political structure? So what will change Nigeria is a critical mass coming together to put our voices, our physical strength down to occupy the National Assembly and demand what we want. So that is what we are working on. We are building consensus. We are talking with different persons. Every day you see us moving here and there. Nigerians just need an awakening and a direction. There is a lot of distraction, as you said, though. People amongst them who are handed stipend to come and cause a lot of confusion and defend the system are doing their own. But I believe that the more we continue to do what we are doing like this, we are getting there. And in no time, Nigerians will come out en masse and fight for our lives. So we will take that action by building all of these blocks that you are talking, that we are having here, and taking the right actions. That is what I believe, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much. My media person said we still have one more question. Please, as you answer this, you just give a final. You say another question is
Okay, sir.
If you Peter is giving one, what would you do to tackle institutional corruption in Nigeria?
If I have the opportunity to reform one law in Nigeria, Nigerians, it will be to ensure that there is free, fair, and credible elections. Nigerians, pay attention to INEC. INEC is the weapon fashioned against Nigeria. You will not reform anything or any sector without reforming INEC. Your recruitment process of your leaders is the most important. So that if they go there and fail to do what you want them to do, you can take them out. There is no leader that knows that power comes from the people that will get into office and will decide not to perform. It is because they know and they have confidence in a criminal electoral process and a criminal judiciary to return them back to office. That is why they will do all they can do, because they know they can rig themselves back. So you will complain for 4 years and lament. They will come back. You renew your Shege subscription for another 4 years. They come back. You continue. Now, so we did since 1960. We did complain. So in all of this, if I can change one foundational law, it is the electoral process. From there, we reform our judiciary, our law enforcement. Once we build those institutions to be able to dispense justice, every other one is going to sit up. where people know that there are consequences for bad behavior and there will be reward for good behavior. That is what is keeping America. It's not because they are so good. Today, Trump is trying to fulfill his election promises. President Trump, the US president, is one of the strongest, is probably the strongest person in the world. But he is
Yeah.
fulfilling his promise because the US system does not even give you 4 years. By 2026, they have what they call midterm elections. The Senate or the House might flip to Democrats, and it makes it difficult for the person in the White House. So you see the president within the first 6 months struggling to deliver on his campaign promises because the people are waiting for him. In Nigeria, it is Uhuru. You go do renewed hope. There will be renewed hunger, renewed hopelessness, but you'll be talking about 2027 when you have not delivered on this one. Why? Because your hope is in a corrupt and criminal INEC. Nigerians, pay attention and fix that one. Then begin from there to fix others.
I believe because when we, because I still see our constitution as one of the problems, but when we truly, if we fix that, yeah, if we fix the entry point to these positions, we can have like minds who we say this constitution is one of the problems and this is what we need to change, or this is what we need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is no political will. Remember that there is the 2014 Jonathan National Confab recommendations that still talks about our constitution. But they are failing to implement all of that because they know that that document of criminality we call a constitution is what is giving them leverage. So there is no political way to do the restructuring and the constitutional review. So every 4 years they will do one sham something. They say zonal hearing for public hearing for constitutional review. Constitutional. What part of constitution are you reviewing for how many years since 1999?
Thank you so much,
Nigeria.
Hero. All right, we want to just have remarks for today. You've given us a lot, which would need to go and work on. Thank you. Your closing remarks, sir.
I think at the risk of keeping us any further, we have taken so much time. I didn't know that we'll be here for more than an hour, 10 minutes. My closing remarks would be to say thank you. Thank you, Integrity Summit. Thank you, Apostle, for the opportunity to come and share my thoughts here on this platform. And I want anybody who comes across this video to know that Nigeria is good because Nigeria has you and me. Nigeria is nobody. Nigeria is you and me. If Nigeria fails, it's because we allowed Nigeria to fail. If in our personal lives we have difficulties, but we continue to pull through, even in our family, we have difficult family members, but we continue to pray and work for them to be better. Let us also replicate that hope and faith in our country. Do not give up. Do not give out on Nigeria. It is possible. It always seems impossible until it is done. So in whatever area you find yourself, stand for the truth, stand for integrity. The truth is enough. And if we come together, no matter how long oppression may have lasted over a people, once a majority unite and say enough, it will be enough. May enough be enough, soon enough for Nigeria. God bless you all.
Wow. I believe we had a swell time. Peter, there's a question I want to ask you directly. Do you have political ambitions?
I get this. I get this question a lot. You even asked it. I skipped it. You asked something like that when you talked about people getting into the system. The truth of the matter is, there is little change you can do from the outside. You can talk and do all we are doing from the outside, but for you to change the system, you must have people with character and competence within the system. So for me, I'm not so much, desperate about holding a political office or whatever. If I have the opportunity to, I know I have the capacity and competence to deliver, to serve. But I have pledged my own loyalty to doing all that I can in whatever space I find myself. And then when we reform the process, people like even you, Apostle, nobody of good character should sit on the sideline and say it is not really my thing. All of you who know that you have the character and capacity, get interested, get into the system. In any way we can serve, let us do it, and we will make the difference.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Integrity Summit 4.0 is Randy Peter. I needed to hear today. It's been a blessing. In fact, if you allow us, we can keep you 12 midnight. You have given us what we did. Today, you've really touched. In fact, I'm happy for this that God gave me concerning this. Is being because sometimes some people will just pick you off what the topic that they were given. So I want to thank you. Also, you were the first that came back to us without hassles, and all through you've been following up the heart that you have for the nation building, the kingdom of God. It is really, really commendable. I want to ask that God will keep and protect you for what He has called you to do, and you will fulfill all He has called you to do in short time. Soon you'll see yourself in global platforms, CNN and all of that. Doing what God has called you to do. You take Jesus out of this. Jesus is the reason why we're here.
At all.
Thank you so much.
He's the center of it all. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
He's the governor among the nations, so we can't stay away. We can't stay
the monarch
away.
of the universe. Yes.
Can you see? Another thing, you see that the church is out of the governance, politics aside. So whatever denominations, but in one way or the other, when we begin to form this group, all right, we'll see how we can reach out. I advocate for church without walls. I don't want to hear doctrines and denominations, but we will still reach out so that
no problem.
So that the kingdom of God can hear this and be sensitized. A lot of believers are here watching, so I'll be sensitized so that by 2027, these guys are already preparing. They are putting themselves, they're strategizing. Believers shouldn't sleep. We shouldn't say, live there. We will suffer more if we don't allow it to happen. Thank you so much.
Very true. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'll reach out to you. Yeah, I'll reach out. Thank you.
All right, sir. Bye. Good night. Good night, sir. Good night, everyone.
All right. So, powerful. I believe you've been inspired. You've been blessed with all that you need to hear tonight. All right. I don't want to shoot the time more. Tomorrow we'll be having another brilliant mind, a young person who will be telling us on her own side. She's Precious Oruche. We call her Mama P. 8 p.m. tomorrow. Please, one thing you must do with all that you have heard tonight, share. I was with my younger brother here right now. He was asking me, how do we make this thing go viral? How do we make this thing go viral? Share your different platforms so that people who follow you can also hear what Mr. Randy Peter AKAH is saying. God bless you. We'll see you again tomorrow by 8 p.m. Bye-bye.
Decays where moral filth surrounds us. We don't just stand it. We don't just point fingers at those who caused the mess. We pick up the tools and begin the cleanup. Because if we don't, the rot will consume us all. Our society is polluted, our values are contaminated, our systems are not working, and we cannot afford to fold our hands. Integrity Summit is a divine assignment, a platform to address the ills tearing our world apart. Our broken walls must be rebuilt, and there are agents like you choosing for this mission. Now is the time. Put on your headgear, wear your gloves, grab your shovels, take whatever tool you've been given, and let's clean up this society together. Because the plague of corruption, injustice, and moral failure will not stop until we act. Nigeria and nations beyond are ripe for this cleanup. No more complaints, no more empty activism. It is time to advocate, to labor, and to rebuild. Are you ready? Integrity Summit 4.0 is here. With carefully selected facilitators, we will explore practical ways to restore the world of our nation. The mission starts now. Will you answer the call?